my former life, I was a chef. And so what does a chef do when he finds it's hard? He feeds the homeless. What I quickly started to realize, though, was I felt these people were a little bit more making a choice to be there. Not completely, but more. And there was a lot of people in the world who were not making a choice and ending up in really disastrous situations, like kids who die of diarrhea before the age of 5. And so I started to see how I could understand to react to these sorts of situations on a macro level. And so just like feeding the homeless, which started with buying a guy a hamburger and ended with a mobile soup kitchen, I started to see how I could do something well at scale. So I just started moving my feet. So I went to West Africa, and I started talking to people. I started looking at projects and organizations, and from there realized education was the answer. If we could give education, we would be able to provide a hope, empower a generation of people who would be able to create their own destiny, as opposed to relying on us giving our leftovers. And so I started down this road. It started originally with us sending a couple of thousand US dollars to support a pre-primary institution. So kind of, okay, good job, kind of like the hamburger. And then we started to see, well, how can we do this bigger and better? And we ended up finding some green pastures in the country of Burkina Faso, where we were able to create good relationships with the Ministry of Education and local stakeholders, and really felt like, okay, we can go further. And so we started a primary school. We have 500 kids in that primary school today. That's grown. Thank you. That's just the start. And we actually have our first crop of teachers that we've been training who are going to scale that work. And so it's really those teachers who become what I really want to talk to you about today, which is how we will take what we've been doing and actually solve the problem. So Johan said, entrepreneurs like problems. I don't like problems. I don't know if that makes me non-entrepreneur. I see problems. I don't like them, so I feel like I need to solve them. And so we see 50% of kids not enrolled in primary education in countries like Burkina Faso and Mali, and we just say that's unacceptable. And so we have now designed a solution which we feel will actually allow us to bring those 50% of kids into primary schools, and not just do so in Burkina Faso, but do so in West Africa to start, and then bring it to other places that need it in Asia, in Latin America, and beyond. So the Open University of West Africa, let's see if there we go. First, I'd like to say a little bit about that logo and kind of proof of concept here at Chi. So last year here at Chi, I met the guys from chemistry, and they have been so kind as to work with us on creating this brand for the Open University of West Africa, which, believe me, is much better than what we crafted on our own, and actually has really attracted a lot of people to this project. This has been kind of the flagship that we've used. We threw this on a website, we put on a Google form, and we advertised on Facebook, free university education. We did this on Saturday, and this is you're the first people to ever really hear that we've done this other than internally. And since Saturday, we started to see this. So this is Stanley. Stanley is in Ouagadougou. Stanley has Facebook. Stanley on Saturday evening saw he could get a free university education, and so he went to our website and he signed up. And then we saw Abu Bakr in Ghana. And Abu Bakr said, what about me too? And then we saw Maddie. And then it started. And since Saturday, it hasn't stopped. And so what are we doing? What is the Open University of West Africa? And so we need to talk a little bit about definition. So open, we only asked 2 questions. There were no essays. It wasn't, how, what was your GPA? We asked, did you go to high school? And then we asked, are you currently enrolled in an institute of higher education, a trade school, a college, or a university? And what we're looking for is yes and no. But we'll also take no and no. And we're even going to ask yes and yes, then why did you sign the form? And so far, as you see this going, today we have 300 yes and no's. 600, period. That's since Saturday with a $100 Facebook campaign. It's really amazing. And so what are we going to give them? So open education, anybody can come. University, it's higher ed. What we're doing is we're making better use of free resources that are available online. We're taking iTunes U and we're giving it guts. We're taking free lectures that Stanford and Harvard and Yale are putting on the internet for free. And we're putting mentorship as an option. We're putting credit as an option. And we're making a relevant curriculum. So we're not going to say, okay, this is how it's been done, so this is how we must do it. We're going to do agriculture, which is one of Africa's great comparative advantages. But we're going to do agroforestry, and we're going to do permaculture. We're going to do things that are in sync with the local population's culture, but we're going to give them the technology to avoid famines. And we're going to build buildings out of laterite and teach them how to do that, and teach them some technology that will get them away from a pickaxe and get them into where they can actually, at scale and quality, bring permanent structures into the villages as opposed to mud brick, which they have to fix every year. And for us, it's not really about education, it's about a problem, right? The problem's poverty. And so we see education as something that can solve that problem. But one of the, as you get into a project like this, as I'm sure many of you know, you go around and you start telling people about what you're doing. And then you get questions, which is a good thing, I would say. And you have to kind of look for the answers to those questions. And sometimes you have it, sometimes you don't. And one of the big questions we got when we said we're doing education in Africa, which I think is just a illustration of the donor fatigue that does exist, was, but then what? So you give them an education, and then they go into an economy that's not working. So what was the point of the education? What was the point of me giving you money to support that? What was the point of me giving you web hosting to support that? And so we said, okay, what if we did aid, education, aid, and trade? What if we not only taught them how to farm, but helped find the venture capitalists who are buying land all over Africa and said, okay, we'll run that farm. And then we started to look around and we said, well, what's working, what's not working? What industries in Africa are working? We looked at things like film. Film is working in Africa. Nollywood, Nigerian Hollywood, it's a huge success. And even people in Africa want to buy film. They want entertainment. And if you look at the quality of what's coming out, it's atrocious. It's like the bricks that they're carving out of the hills. So we said, what if we actually taught them how to make good films? And what if we taught them how to be entrepreneurs? And we linked them to crowdfunding sites, and we linked them to places like Kiva. And we got them actually the funding for those ideas, and we invested in those ideas. And we're like, well, hey, wait a minute. Everyone could win. It wouldn't just be, us going and buying the hamburger. It's like, wait a minute. We can give them an education. They can get a job. They can start making money. They can contribute back to the system. And everyone can win. And that's, I think that's my final answer, is that everyone can win. And I believe that the Open University of West Africa will help make that happen. Thank you.